Greetings. Today, let us reflect on a defining moment in the history of India's struggle for freedom. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's remarkable role in the Simon Commission. In this talk, we will focus on an important part of India's history and the powerful role played by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. We will discuss why Dr. Ambedkar chose to take part in the Simon Commission even when most of Indian leaders they rejected Simon Commission. We will also understand the importance of Baba Saheb Ambedkar's actions during that time, especially for the rights of the Dalits and other marginalized communities. These movements not only shaped Baba Saheb Ambedkar's journey, but also left a deep impact on India's fight for equality and justice. So, let us start with the political climate before Simon Commission. For that, let us go back in time to the 1920s. 1920s is the period when India was still under the heavy shadow of British colonial rule. This was a time when our nation was not free, not only in the legal or political sense, but also in the way people were treated in their own land. The British did not merely govern through laws. They ruled through fear, force, and absolute control. They drained our resources. They exploited our labor and they treated Indians as inferior beings. The Indian people had no real power or voice in their own governance. Decisions about India's future were made in foreign house, far removed from the daily lives and dreams of Indians. Even the laws that governed Indian lives, they were drafted and enforced by British officials without consulting those they affected. The entire machinery of government, it was designed to maintain colonial dominance, not to serve the people of India. Yet, despite this grim reality, a new spirit was emerging among the people. The fire of self-respect, the longing for self-rule. It was slowly turning into a blazing flame. Across the nation, from cities to villages, voices were rising in unison, demanding freedom. The Indian National Congress, which had growing influence and reach, became a major platform for political resistance at that time. But it was not just the Congress. Revolutionaries, students, intellectuals, workers, farmers, women groups, people from all corners of India, they joined the call for Swaraj. Swaraj was not just a word. It was a dream of a country run by its own people, that is Swaraj. A future that is shaped by its own citizen, and a society built on dignity, equality, and justice. It was in this electrified political environment that the British government made a surprising and deeply insulting announcement in 1927. They declared that they would send a commission to India to examine how the current system of British rule was functioning and what changes might be necessary. On the surface, this might have seemed like an opportunity, perhaps a step toward reforms, a sign that the British were beginning to listen. But the truth was very different. The commission they formed consisted of 7 members, all of whom were Britishers. Not a single Indian was included in that commission. The chairman was Sir John Simon, a British politician, and the entire panel was selected without consulting a single Indian voice. This decision sent shockwaves across the country. It was not just a political mistake, it was a slap in the face of every Indian who had been fighting and hoping for recognition and respect. The British government had once again made a decision about India without involving the people of India. It was as if they were saying, we will continue to rule you, continue to decide your future, and we don't think you even deserve a seat at the table. It was a clear and painful reminder that the British still did not see the Indians as equal or even as partners in dialogue. The response from the Indian people was swift and fierce. Political parties that were often divided, like the Indian National Congress, the Muslim League, and the Hindu Mahasabha, at this time, they came here together. They came together in great unity to oppose the Simon Commission. Their message was loud and clear. This commission was illegitimate, unfair, and entirely unacceptable. They called for a complete boycott. Wherever the Simon Commission went, it was met with mass protest. Streets across the country, they were filled with demonstrators waving black flags and shouting in unison. They say, Simon, go back. Simon, go back. These words became more than just a protest slogan in those days. They became a national chant, a roar of dignity and defiance. It was not just about opposing a group of British officials. It was about standing up for the idea that Indians had the right to shape their own destiny. So, in the middle of all these protests, when the whole country was rising in one voice in the dialogue, Simon, go back, there was one leader who took a different path. It was not a path of submission, nor it was a path of blind resistance. It was a path of strategic thought, moral courage, and deep understanding of what was truly at stake. That leader was Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar was not just a political thinker or a social reformer. He was a man who had experienced the harshest injustice of Indian society firsthand. Born into the Dalit community, historically labeled as untouchable, he had endured not only British oppression, but also the cruel discrimination of the caste system. For centuries, Dalits had been pushed to the margins. They denied education, they denied dignity, they denied basic human rights. Dr. Ambedkar rose from these conditions through sheer brilliance, perseverance, and unshakable commitment to justice. So he understood. Baba Saheb understood what it meant to be invisible in your own country, to be spoken about but never spoken. So when the Simon Commission was announced, Baba Saheb Ambedkar asked a different kind of question. When the commission announced, he asked a different kind of question. If this commission is going to shape the future of India, can the most marginalized voices ever to remain silent? For him, the answer was clear, no. When the majority of Indian leaders boycotted the commission in protest, Baba Saheb saw a rare and urgent opportunity. He understood that the British were not going to go away just because of slogans. He knew that if no one from the Dalit community stepped forward to speak, their needs and rights would once again be ignored in the grand political negotiation. Baba Saheb chose to engage with the commission. He chose to engage with the Simon Commission, not because he supported colonial rule, but because he refused to let his people be forgotten. He went before the commission not to praise British governments or British leaders, but to present in no uncertain terms the suffering. He wanted to present the suffering and struggles of the Dalits. He spoke not with rage, but with truth, not with hatred, but with reason. He laid out the facts, the history, the discrimination, and the urgent need for change. He said in essence, if a new India is to be built, it must be built by and built for all its people, including those who have been silenced for generations. This was a bold and unpopular move. Many leaders in common citizens criticized him. Some called him a collaborator, others misunderstood his intentions. They misunderstood his intentions. But Dr. Ambedkar did not wait. He was not looking for applause or approval. He was looking to protect the future of millions. He was thinking not about political popularity, but about historical responsibility. His actions remind us that true leadership often means walking alone, making hard choices, and thinking not just emotionally, but wisely and courageously. Ambedkar's vision, it teaches us a deeper lesson that protest is important, but purposeful participation can also be very important. It shows us that there are times when entering the system, even a broken and unjust one, it may be necessary to change it. Entering is very important. By choosing to speak up, Baba Sahib made sure that the voice of the most oppressed was heard at a critical moment. He ensured that the foundation of future reforms would not ignore the people who have been ignored for centuries. This part of history is more than just a story from the past. It is a mirror. It is a mirror for our present and guide for our future. It reminds us that when the world shuts us out, we must find a way to step in. When the doors are closed, we must find a window and build our own path. Dr. Ambedkar didn't just raise his voice. He raised the voice of an entire community. He didn't just challenge injustice. He challenged the silence. Baba Sahib Ambedkar turned an insult into an invitation. He transformed rejection into representation. And in doing so, he changed not just a moment in history, but the direction of a nation. So, the remarkable thing happened. On October 23, 1928, a powerful movement took place in Pune when Baba Sahib Ambedkar stood before the Simon Commission, the Central Committee, and the Bombay Provincial Committee. He was not there to seek approval. He was there to speak truth to power. Among those present was Major Clement Attlee, a member of the Simon Commission and a British Labour leader who would later become the Prime Minister of Britain. So, Clement Attlee, he recognized Dr. Ambedkar's sharp intellect, moral courage, and deep understanding of India's social reality. He asked him several important questions. Then Dr. Ambedkar answered with clarity and conviction, exposing the deep-rooted injustice of the caste system. This movement planted the seeds of mutual respect between the two, Clement Attlee and Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Years later, in 1946, when Baba Sahib Ambedkar faced exclusion from the Constituent Assembly due to limited representation for the scheduled caste, he directly reached out to Prime Minister Clement Attlee at the time. Out of the 14 seats available, only one had been allotted to the scheduled caste under the cabinet mission plan. So, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he sent a cable to Attlee and later met him in person. Clement Attlee, remembering the same man who once spoke with such purpose before the Simon Commission, he listened very closely. He understood the urgency and responded with empathy and commitment. He assured Baba Sahib, Clement Attlee, he assured Baba Sahib that provisions would be made to safeguard the rights of the untouchables, remarking that it was essential to protect their future in an independent India. Thanks to this timely support, Dr. Ambedkar was able to enter the Constituent Assembly, where he went on to become the principal architect of the Indian Constitution. So, this is the story behind this Simon Commission. So, here laid the route to Constituent Assembly. This was not just a political move, it was the history correcting itself, giving a voice to be the most silence, and proving once again that leadership, when grounded in truth and justice, it always finds its path. If Dr. Ambedkar remained outside the commission like everyone else, then no one would speak. No one would speak for the millions who had been silenced generation after generation. His participation was not for personal gain. It was a necessary act on behalf of those who had been made invisible. Dr. Ambedkar understood that representation is not a privilege, it is a form of justice. And without representation, the dream of justice, it remains a fantasy. He did not oppose critics. In fact, he believed deeply in resistance. But he also understood that protest alone, without strategy, protest alone would never be enough. Power does not change just by standing outside and shouting. Sometimes you have to step inside the house of power to reshape it. The streets may echo with powerful slogans, but the real decisions, the ones that shape lives and laws, they are made behind closed doors. If there is no one in that room to speak about Dalit rights, how can those rights ever be woven into the nation's future? Baba Sahib walked into that room not to endorse the system, but to challenge the system. Not to ask for crumbs, but to demand justice. He came equipped with intellect, vision, and moral clarity. He was not content with the symbolic gestures. Baba Sahib wanted results, tangible, structural change that would uplift the marginalized and ensure they were no longer forgotten. More than anything else, Baba Sahib was not just fighting for a change in rulers. He was fighting for a change in society. He feared that even after the British left, India might remain chained by caste. He feared that the face of power, they might change, but the foundations of discrimination, they would remain untouched. For Baba Sahib, true freedom, it was never just about political independence. It was about social and moral emancipation. What was the use of replacing a white ruler with a brown one if the oppressed masses still had no dignity, no rights, and no place at the table? The Simon Commission, as flawed as it was, it became an opportunity. Simon Commission became an opportunity, a narrow window through which he could speak directly to the mechanism of power. It allowed him to demand political safeguards such as separate electorates and reserved seats. He wanted legal protections. He wanted legal protections that would guarantee Dalits a voice in the shaping of India's future. In the absence of such participation, history would simply repeat itself, and the marginalized would continue to suffer in silence. So, Baba Sahib Ambedkar's decision, his decision to engage with the commission, it came at a cost. He was condemned by many. He was called as a traitor. People accused him of siding with colonial powers. But Baba Sahib was never chasing popularity. He was chasing justice. He knew India had a long road ahead. He was willing to walk that road alone if he had. He chose to carry the burden. He chose to carry the burden of criticism because he knew that the cost of silence was far greater. Baba Sahib's engagement with the commission, it was not an act of submission. It was an act of defiance executed with dignity and intellect. He brought to the table. He brought to the table not just demands, but he brought research. He brought insights. He brought global perspectives. He had studied how minorities were treated in countries like the United States, South Africa, and the United Kingdom. He used that knowledge to advocate for civil rights, for equal treatment under the law, and for the protection of minority voices. He transformed. Baba Sahib transformed participation into resistance. This was Ambedkarism in action. Using intellect as a weapon, participation as a strategy, and justice as a destination. So, why did Dr. Ambedkar engage with the Simon Commission? Because the Dalits needed someone to speak for them, and he had the courage. Baba Sahib Ambedkar had the courage to raise his voice because he understood that justice cannot be delayed until perfect conditions appear. It must be seized whenever and wherever it is possible. Because he knew, Ambedkar knew that protest can evacuate people, but engagement can transform system. Because history had ignored his people long enough, and he was determined never to let that happen again. His courage teaches us a lesson that resonates even today. Sometimes the bravest thing one can do is to walk into a room where they are not welcome and speak for those who are never heard. Sometimes true leadership, it means going against popular opinion, not to provoke, but to protect, not to divide, but to demand inclusion. Dr. Ambedkar did not choose the easy path. He chose the righteous one. He did not choose comfort. He chose the responsibility. He was not chasing applause. He was chasing impact. And because of that bold choice, today India has a constitution that upholds equality. We have legal frameworks that defend dignity. We have hope that justice can be real. All because of one man, he chose to speak when others remain silent. One man who said, I will not let my people be forgotten. I will not let my people be forgotten again. That is why Dr. Ambedkar engaged with the Simon Commission. And that is why we too must engage with courage, with clarity, and above all, with compassion for those who are still waiting to be heard. That's the power of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar's voice in front of the Simon Commission was not just his own. It was the voice of millions who had been treated as less than human. It was the voice of history. It was the voice of history demanding justice. He did not ask for power. He did not ask for mercy. He asked for rights, basic human rights that have been denied to his people for thousands of years. He reminded the commission that a nation is not truly free if it keeps a section of its own people in jail. One of the first things Baba Sahib demanded was political power for Dalits. He said clearly that if Dalits were not given a voice in the legislature, they would always remain powerless. He asked for separate electorates or at least reserved seats. He explained that in a country where Dalits were a small part of the population, they could never win elections on their own. Upper caste, they would never vote for them. So, if Dalits could not choose their own representatives, then their issues could never be heard. He said, You say India is one nation, then why are millions treated as if they are not part of it? He wanted Dalits to have the right to speak for themselves, not to be spoken for. This was not about dividing the country. It was about including the excluded. Baba Sahib then turned to education. He said that education was the key to real freedom. He had lived that. He had lived the truth in his whole life. As a child, he was not allowed to sit inside the classroom. Teachers ignored him. Other students insulted him. But he did not stop. He went on to earn degrees from Columbia University and the London School of Economics. Because he knew the power of education. Because it had given him a voice. That is why he demanded free quality education for all the children. He asked for hostels, he asked for scholarships, and he asked for support systems. He said, give us the tools of knowledge and we will build our own future. He reminded the commission that if a child is humiliated in school, that child may lose confidence for life. He wanted the state to support Dalit students so they could compete equally and live with dignity. Baba Sahib also focused on government jobs. He focused on government jobs. He showed the commission how Dalits were completely absent from public offices. There were no Dalit clerks, no Dalit officers, no Dalit judges, no Dalit teachers. They were only found doing the dirtiest jobs, manual scavenging, cleaning, laboring. He asked a simple question. If we are part of the nation, then why are we not part of its government? He demanded proportional representation in public employment. If Dalits made up a certain percentage of the population, then that same percentage should be present in the government jobs. This was not a demand for charity. It was not a demand for charity. It was a demand for paying shame. He explained that when people see someone like themselves in a position of power, they begin to believe that they took him. They took him right. It gives confidence, it gives hope, it makes democracy real. Baba Sahib turned to social discrimination. He told the commission that Dalits were treated worse than animals in many parts of India. They could not walk on certain roads. They could not enter temples. They could not take water from public wells. They were beaten, they were insulted, and they were made to live outside the village. This was not just a social issue. This was a deep and dangerous form of violence. He said that untouchability must be destroyed, and not just through words, but through law. He demanded legal protection from discrimination. He wanted strong laws to punish those who practice untouchability and caste hatred. He said, it is not enough to say all are equal. That equality must be protected every day, in every street, in every home. Baba Sahib also raised that issue of public resources. Baba Sahib asked, why are Dalits denied access to roads, trains, schools, and hospitals? These are basic needs. These are not gifts. These are the rights. He demanded that Dalits be allowed. Dalits be allowed to use all public services without restriction. He said that no one should be stopped from drinking water or entering a hospital because of their caste. Dr. Ambedkar explained. He explained that the denial of such rights is not just a physical cruelty, it is a spiritual violence. It tells a person that they are not human. And Baba Sahib rejected that message completely. He said, we are human. We are human beings. We are citizens. We will no longer accept being treated like animals. One of his most one of his most debated demands was about separate settlements. Baba Sahib asked the commission to consider allowing Dalits to live in the own independent villages or areas. This was a shocking idea for many, but he had his reasons. He said that in traditional Indian villages, Dalits lived in terrible conditions, dirty, dangerous, and constantly under threat. They were isolated anyway, without any safety or dignity. He asked, would it not be better if we could build our own settlements where we are free, where we have our own schools, our own wells, our own leadership? This was not about building walls. It was not about building walls. It was about building safe spaces. Places where Dalits could live with pride without constant humiliation. It was a strategy for survival and for reclaiming dignity. All these demands came from deep thought and deep pain. They were not made in anger. They were not made in anger. They were made with clarity. They were based on reason, evidence, and lived experience. Baba Sahib told the commission, we are not asking for mercy. We are demanding our rights as full citizens of India. That one sentence captured the spirit of everything he stood for. He did not want pity. He wanted justice. He did not want to be given a place. He wanted to claim it as an equal, as a leader, as a human being. While other leaders were focused on getting freedom from British rule, Baba Sahib lived. He was focused on getting freedom from caste system. He understood that political freedom without social justice, it would mean nothing for millions of people. He knew that India could not be a true nation until the Dalits were treated as equal citizens in every aspect of life. Even today, many of the rights he demanded are still not fully realized. Discrimination still exists. Violence still happens. Many Dalit children, they still face exclusion and pain. But thanks to Baba Sahib's courage, the path to justice, it was open. His voice lit a fire that still burns. His words continues to inspire. Baba Sahib's presentation shocked many people. The British were surprised. They were surprised by the depth of the oppression he described. Indian nationalists, they were divided. Some continued to criticize him for cooperating with the commission, while others began to see the truth in his words. But for the Dalits of India, Ambedkar became a hero. He showed that their issues are matter. He showed that their fight was a part of the freedom movement. He showed that one man with courage and truth could challenge both colonial rulers and caste-based Indian society. His ideas influenced the recommendations of the Simon Commission. The Simon Commission report, it recognized the special condition of the depressed classes and suggested that their rights should be protected in future constitution. This gave Baba Sahib a seat at the table in the next important political event, the Round Table Conference in London. And from there, he would go on to shape India's destiny. Ambedkar's role in the Simon Commission was not just a footnote in history. It was a turning point that changed the very direction of India's freedom struggle. Until then, the primary focus of the Indian nationalist movement was centered on one goal, It was centered on one goal, freedom from British colonial rule. But Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he expanded the meaning of that freedom. He brought a revolutionary thought into the national discourse. That political independence is meaningless if it does not include social equality and justice for all. For Baba Sahib, it was not just about replacing British rulers with Indian ones. It was about transforming the entire structure of society so that no one remained oppressed, humiliated, or left behind. By joining the Simon Commission, Baba Sahib, by joining the Simon Commission and presenting the voice of the untouchable, he shifted the spotlight. He boldly used a colonial platform to highlight India's internal contradictions. How a nation fighting for its own liberty was still deeply chained by caste hierarchies and social discrimination. His actions challenged both British and colonialist and Indian nationalists. He forced them to recognize that the Indian nation must be built not only on the dreams of freedom but also on the foundations of justice. What Ambedkar did at that moment was far more making a demand. He made a statement. He declared that the oppressed would no longer wait in silence. His stand at the Simon Commission was a master class in moral courage. In a time when most Indians were boycotting the commission, Ambedkar chose to participate, not to support, but to expose the cruelty of the caste and the urgency of representation. He used that moment to internationalize the Dalit struggle, showing the world that India's problem were not just about foreign rule, but about internal social cruelty. This act was not about division, as some critics claim. On the contrary, Ambedkar was trying to complete the dream of freedom by including those who have been ignored for centuries. His ideology, it teaches us that Ambedkarism is not only about protest, but also it is about principle. It is about having the courage to speak truth to power, even if you are standalone. It is about using every platform, however imperfect, to advocate for justice. And above all, it is about understanding that representation is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. Without a voice in decision making, no community can hope to achieve true justice. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he didn't aim to fragment India. He aimed to heal it by making it whole, by ensuring that every voice was heard, especially the most marginalized. Even today, the legacy of Ambedkar's participation in the Simon Commission, it continues to guide. It continues to guide us with powerful lessons. The first is clear and urgent. Silence is not an option when injustice surrounds us. Baba Sahib teaches us that if you hold the truth, you must speak it, even when others try to drown you out. His boldness reminds us that the moral strength of one person can often outweigh the noise of many. His actions tells us that when you have the courage to stand alone, you can create waves that move an entire society. Second, representation is not just a political issue, it is a moral lesson. Until Dalits, Adivasis, minorities, and all historically marginalized communities, they have their rightful seat at the table. We cannot call ourselves a true democracy. Baba Sahib's example, it shows us that real change is not simply about who owns power, but about how that power is used and for whom that is used. Justice must come before politics. Fair systems must be built before any leader claims service. Lastly, Ambedkar's life, it tells us that numbers do not always determine strength. One clear voice, grounded in justice, it can shake the foundation of an empire. That is what Baba Sahib did in front of the Simon Commission. Not with force, but with truth. As we remember his bold stand, we must also renew our commitment. Let us carry forward his legacy by standing up for the voiceless, fighting for the invisible, and building an India where freedom means justice for all, not just in law, but in life. Let us not wait for perfect moment or large crowds. Let us act, let us speak, and build with the courage Ambedkar showed. Only then will his speech become our shape.